Hello everyone, welcome to Scorcher Toys at AnyMoon.com's transformation guide for Bandai's original High Metal and High Metal R VF1 toys. These toys are very similar to each other. This is not a review. I'm not going to chronicle the differences. I have lots of other video reviews, so check those out. We're going to go from Battroid mode to GERWALK and ultimately fighter mode in this guide today. I have another guide where I go in the opposite direction, so if that's what you're looking to do, definitely check that out. To start, if you've got your toy in some crazy pose on the shelf, you've probably extended these hips out. You're just going to want to take them, see there's a little extension gimmick in there, and press them in. You're not going to want them extended in GERWALK mode. Also, if you have a High Metal R toy, you may have this optional cavity filler piece on the top. So what you're going to want to do is pull the backpack back a little bit, open up that trap door, bring the head forward, and then you can pull this little cavity filler piece out like so. So that is now done. We are going to go ahead and put that back. Also, if you have a High Metal R toy, you may have these tiny optional Battroid specific wings installed. So what we're going to want to do next is just go ahead and pull downward to get those removed. Now, you do not at this point have to install the new wings. You might as well just keep transforming the toy to GERWALK mode. Of course, if you've got these wings installed, you can just leave them on. It's not going to be a problem. And we will continue on. So, you've got all of the optional parts removed. You're ready to go to GERWALK mode. We can get these legs sort of in a GERWALK position. There is little rubber nubs on the hips that lock them into position. You want to just apply some pressure to get them to pop free. And that'll get your nose cone free. Now there's also two little prongs in the back here on this swing bar that plug into right either side of this blue portion where it meets the nose cone here. So it's going to be plugged in. You're just going to pull out a little bit to free up the whole torso section. Then what we can do is go ahead and open the trap door. Our head is on a rotating platform. See that? So what we want to do is rotate the entire platform around. We want to bring the head lasers forward. And now they can and will pop out on you. And if they do, just push them back in. Obviously, this is more of a VF1J problem than any other version of the VF1 toy. Once you've got those head lasers forward, you can just go ahead and tuck the head through that opening you have created. It will come down on the other side. Now what you want to do is kind of push it down and into position, and we'll fine tune it a little more later, but it should kind of sync with the bottom of the cockpit area, the nose cone area. Now we can turn our attention back to the top, bring the nose cone up, and then we have this chest piece right here. We're just going to want to slide that back, and we can first, before we close everything up, we're going to bring that trap door down, and then we're going to bring that chest piece back and get that into position. And then we have this tab right in the front, which needs to come up underneath the nose like so. So a couple things to point out with a VF1 version toy. I have the wings removed on that Max toy. If you don't have them removed, you're going to want to have them open during these first steps where you get kind of the chest area open. That gives you the room to bring that backpack down, that trap door open. When you spin around the VF1A head, you can bring down the gun, and what that also allows you to do is push down the eye visor. You can do it one of two different ways. Doing that, if you're using the Do You Remember Love version of the VF1A head, is what gives you the clearance when you come around on the other side. You can see that head butts right up against the nose cone area. That eye visor collapsing is what gives you that room. So that's kind of a cool gimmick on the Do You Remember Love VF1A head. Going back to my Max toy here, what we want to do is position the legs for success coming forward into GERWALK mode. And the way you do that, this hinge is pointed outward originally. As we bring this hinge up, we're going to rock the gray piece here out so that as it comes up, it is as far back as it can be. Now as you get to the head, you want to create a little bit of clearance, and you can do that just by pushing that head forward if it's come back at all. Then you'll see you've got these big pegs on the top sides of the intakes, and you've got those big holes on the underside of the chest plate, and you just need to match those up and apply pressure, and they will pop into place. Make sure you don't get a head laser in the way here, and boom, like so. Now they are connected. You can bring forward your legs, pull out your feet, rock them all the way back. Obviously you'll fine tune it when you're finalizing your GERWALK mode. But there you go. Now you've got those feet in the right position. You can angle them out a little bit if you want. And you can also bring over your backpack, and flap comes down like so. Grab your wings if you did take them off. On the arms, we're going to go ahead. See, there's this little hinge right here. We're going to rock them down low and then twist them. Rock down low and twist, and that gives you the clearance to attach these wings, and the wings just go in and push into place. And there you go. You can see we are now very close to GERWALK mode. We just need to go to our parts bin and grab that canopy. Now obviously 10 of 10, you're going to have to replace this heat shield here by just pulling up, pegs into position, and then take your canopy glass like so and plug it into place. If you have a high metal R toy, you may not have a pilot figure in there. If you have an original high metal toy, there is a little pilot glued into his seat. You also, regardless of which version of the high metal toy have, the option to replace these intake shields. Just slide them forward. They will unpeg like so. And you're going to go grab from your parts bits the one with the intake fan detail and just slide that in place instead. So here we go. We got that peg hole revealed. We slide that in. And now we have an official GERWALK mode. Obviously you could have missiles on the wings, what have you, but this is it. Tweak to your desire. The trip to fighter mode begins with the hands and the gun. So now I've got the optional fixed posed hands on this toy. I'm going to first begin by removing the gun, like so. This is the gun holding fixed posed hand. I'm going to remove that too, and I'm going to replace it with the originally installed integrated hand, like so. Same thing on the other side here. We're just going to get the original hand that came with the toy and plug that into position. While we're looking at the hands, here's the gimmick to fold it in. You just pop this trap door open like so, rotate your hand upward, and then close the door. Obviously we're going to repeat on the other side as well. Now your gun, you're just going to go ahead, take it and collapse it. For fighter mode, that's what we want. Now if you didn't use one of the fixed posed hands, you will have this grip piece that you are going to remove, just like we removed the hand that was holding a grip piece, and then collapse like so. These next several steps are very difficult to perform on the high metal R toy without joints popping off on you. Everything's just a lot stiffer, primarily because these plastic joints here have been replaced with metal joints on the high metal R toy. So I'm going to use an original high metal toy to give you an idea of how it's theoretically supposed to work. If while you're doing it a part pops off on you, you can just watch where you're supposed to go, get the part there, and put it back on the toy. Now one thing that's critical for these steps is that the wings be wide open. If they close up, it's going to throw off the geometry on a few steps here. So one of the things we did was we rocked this little hinge downward for GERWALK mode. So now we're going to apply a little pressure and get it upward, and then we're going to rotate the arm, get our wing back open again, and we're just going to apply a little pressure inward, and that's going to free up the hinge from this little ramp here that was locking it in place, and let us slide that backwards. Once we've slid it backwards, we can get the arm and rotate it again. Let's seems to want to come this way, so we'll bring the arm over this way. And you can see this hinge collapsing here. It's collapsing there. Once we get to the center, we can rotate it back in the direction it's supposed to go, and we can push down on it to kind of get it into the right spot. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side here. I'm going to bring this arm down, and then I'm going to bring pressure downward to get this hinge flat with the body of the craft. Then I'm going to push in a little bit more to try to free it up from the ramp that's causing it to stay in place. There it goes. Now I'm going to slide the entire arm back. There we go. Now I'm going to open the wing back up. I'm going to bring my arm in. And as I do this, this hinge here, I've got to collapse it. I got to get just enough clearance to collapse that and push it down. Once I've got both arms in the center, I want to get them both pushed all the way back. And now I could and will put the gun into position. You do not need to use the gun. It's not pivotal to connecting the two arms to each other. Let's see if I can get that to, there it goes. Alright, so now the arms themselves do have a slot and a peg that connect them to each other. So we'll go ahead and just apply a little inward pressure, and then we can slide the whole thing forward up against that hinge that connects the two legs. And now you'll see you have a slot and a peg. So let's go ahead and take our feet and pop them into position like so. And then we're going to bring the leg back and like so. So there you go. So now that peg is now in that leg. Flip the toy over. And now another thing, there's a peg here on the inside of the leg, slot on the arm. So we're going to bring everything back. We're going to get that peg into place. But we also need to make sure we've got our slot and our arm lined up perfectly with that peg. And since these are on hinges, you just move things around until you get it all just right. And there you go. So now I've got the arms pegged into the legs are pegged into the back plate. And now I can bring down my backpack, and you'll notice as you do it, that hinge is a little funky, so you want to make sure you got everything flat on top. You'll notice there's a big slot in the back of the backpack. And there is a peg on the back of the leg. So as we bring this out, as you fold it over, this flap should come up and over. And then that peg in the leg will fit right into the backpack and make things nice and tight. So now you've got everything in the back end is pegged together solidly to the body of the craft. We're going to open up the vertical stabilizers. We're just going to apply pressure inward and make sure it's as flat as can be right there. And then there you go. You are now in fighter mode with the gun attached. So again, the high metal R toy, much tighter. The better way to do things with the high metal R toy is to just go ahead and undo the intakes. So we pop those free, and you want to leave them roughly in position. And then we're going to take our shoulders, and we're going to try to do what we just did. We're going to bring this hinge down. We're going to go ahead and pop it free, so it might be easier to pop it free and then bring the hinge down. And then we're going to try to slide it back, and again, it's got much tighter grip. We got to keep that wing open, can't forget that. Alright, so there, it's back. Now this is the part that almost guarantees a limb is going to pop off. You have to rotate at the shoulder, and it is very hard, but we've given ourselves more clearance by popping these intakes off, so we can bring everything forward, and then we can twist. And again, it's very hard to twist that joint. So what frequently happens is with this rod that's being held onto with the clip will pop off on you, and all you have to do is pop it back on. So let's take this, we're going to go ahead, we're going to apply a little pressure downward. So that one's on there with a death grip, so let's turn to, there it goes. So now that that's free, I can slide that back, and then I can get it way back here. Again, I'm being very patient with it, holding the joints right where I need to to make sure nothing pops off. And there we go. So now get everything straightened up, and it's exactly the same as before. So I managed to do it without a limb popping off. I did have to pop my intakes free, which obviously is no big deal, right? We just plug those back in. So it's possible, but most likely that arm's going to pop off when you try to twist it. Just pop it right back on, no big deal. Alright, original high metal R in fighter mode. Now my original high metal toy does have a gap kind of in the front underneath the chest. It's not a mistransformation, it's always just been a QC issue with that toy, so if you've got the same gap and you've never had your toy be as tight as this high metal R toy is, then you probably have a similar QC issue. Don't keep transforming the toy back and forth. It's just not meant to be on that particular toy. Now your head should be tucked with the visor in there. If you have a VF1J, the laser might be coming off like that one was. So go ahead and make sure that everything is recessed properly. Everything should be nice and tight, and you are good to go. Check out anymoon.com for all of my reviews and articles on this toy and many, many others. And as always, thanks for watching.